Welcome to the DFL Breakdown, presented by GrizLeeGear, with your hosts, Lucas Ford and Ricky Epperson.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the DFL Breakdown, the #1 cartoon side character theme, league-specific, weekly fantasy football podcast in the world. It's just me today, here for the Week 3 projections and the Week 2 breakdown. Ricky had some things to take care of, but I'm happy to do it here anyway and get you through all of the action from this last week. And boy, was it a doozy. We had we're in mid-season form already. We got quarterbacks going down, backups coming in, we got monster pop-off performances, a lot of answers and a lot more questions. So it was a great week of football, and of course that means a lot of excitement in the DFL. So without further ado, why don't we talk about one of our the most exciting player on a starting roster this week, our game breaker, and dive right into it. Let's do it.
I'm coming! Here I come! Game Breaker.
All right, this is the front page of the weekly report. You can see a lot of great details about some big performers here. Lamar Jackson going nuts. Jonathan Taylor having an amazing week. But our game breaker this week was Amon-Ra St. Brown of the Lions, going for Artie in his big win against the Tampa Trap House. 39.2 points. A 3-touchdown day for him in an absolute walloping of Ben Johnson's Bears. Going against Detroit, man, they both had a lot of things to prove in that matchup, and the Lions came back out on top. You know, maybe they only looked bad week 1 because they were playing against one of the best defenses in the NFL, but they really wanted to prove a point with this one. Put 52 points up on the Bears there, and Amon-Ra St. Brown was a huge part of it and a huge part of Artie's win this week. So let's go ahead and get into our score summary, and we can look at that matchup as well as all the others that happened this week in the Week 2 of the Dimmadome. Let's do it.
Score summary.
All right. Yeah, like I said, he was a big part of this win for Artie here, and it was because a lot of things changed for him in his lineup here. Justin Fields did not have the big week like he had in week 1. In fact, suffered a concussion in this game. Only going to be putting up 3 points there, and Tyrod Taylor is going to be coming in for him week 3. So Justin Fields, a letdown for Artie. He won 141 to 117, got his median win, another 2-0 week for him here. But, you know, he won by like 24, 26 points, and Amon-Ra got him 40. So if he only got the projected 16 there, it would have been pretty close. So big, huge part of his win. The rest of his team didn't slouch by any means. Travis Etienne continued his hot start here, scoring 16.9 points. DeAndre Swift scored about projections there. Nico Collins got his touchdown. It wasn't an incredible day for him. You're hoping for more out of Nico, but managed to put 14.2 on the board. J.K. Dobbins got a touchdown there, 76 yards on the ground, and even a little reception action. So, you know, he still definitely had some good stuff going, but yeah, Amon-Ra definitely set him over the edge, got him his median win, got him over the projections, and put the Tampa Trap House in the dirt. More bad news for them. They had Joe Burrow go down this week, and it looks like he's going to be out for basically the rest of the season in terms of fantasy, and maybe even in reality. He might be out for the rest of the season for the Bengals, and that's really terrible for them after all the money they put into playing hard this season here. Got a great performance out of Tucker Kraft, but other than that, it was a shaky performance out of a lot of these guys here. Khalil Shakir, Hollywood Brown, Tyrone Tracy, and both of his defensive guys who were highlights for the team in Week 1 in that tie against Eric were dragging him down here, only getting 9.5 points in total for the both of them combined, and that's not going to do it for the IDP slots. And that's what's going to lead to a loss. You know, you miss your projections by a good 25 points, and this is what happens. Unfortunately, the Joe Burrow injury was just a huge part of that. So he's got Caleb Williams on the bench, who's been scoring above projection. I mean, I hate watching it. They just keep losing games and looking terrible, but we're playing fantasy. All we care about is the numbers, and he's putting up a decent amount of numbers there. So that'll be a good option for him, and we'll see if he makes any other moves towards quarterbacks in this week or in weeks to come. But good win for Artie there. Gets the 2-0 win and the 0-2 loss for the Tampa Trap House, putting him at 0-2-2, which is effectively 1-3. Yeah, the 2 ties, always funny to see on there. That is just one of the matchups that happened here. Let's take a look at another matchup that had some high performers and some low ones. This was our biggest blowout of the week. They were the Cabbage Patch Kids going into it. They're now Team Joe Biden. It's Nate's team here. Had just a miserable week against last week's top performer and this week's second highest scorer, the Retardinals, Sal's team, just continuing to light it up here. The disappointment kind of came from all sides. For Nate, Jalen Hurts only put up 10.5 points. Didn't really have to do all that much to win. I mean, they're not passing a ton. They're running. They're just tush pushing. They're basically cheating on those at this point. I mean, they're just literally cheating. The guards are just going offsides, and it's starting to get ridiculous. Juju Smith-Schuster went for the waiver warrior there. Couldn't quite get it. Couldn't quite get anything there. The Chiefs just looked terrible in that game, but the Eagles' defense is just amazing. So that's why they keep winning. 1.4 points out of Mark Andrews, who is named Joe Biden now. And yeah, he's just not getting it done. Ramondre Stevenson started him last week, got no points. Benches him, he puts up 21 points. He's going to start him again this week. I'll let you guess what's going to happen with that, because that is just fantasy football in a nutshell here. And even getting Alec Ayamanor on his bench putting up 15.6 and Brian Burns putting up 15 as well. Just a winning week on his bench here, and instead 92 points getting put up here. Gibbs was fine. Chase Brown suffered after Joe Burrow left, but Tyreek Hill was the only player that beat his projections for him. On the other side, I mean, Puka Nacua has been lighting it up. Chuba Hubbard has been scoring every week. Jackson Smith-Njigba looks like he's going to be one of the top 3 receivers on the year, just based on usage so far. I mean, 8 receptions in this game for 103 yards. He hasn't scored a touchdown yet, and this guy's been on fire. Warren has been great as a rookie tight end, and the Colts haven't punted yet this year, which is an insane stat that no one bet on, that no one saw coming. And I mean, Ted McMillan's been great too. Sal's team is looking real strong, and I mean, it's not even because of the big, highlight names. Yes, Puka Nacua for sure, but I mean, Ashton Genty he's not even a top 24 running back so far this season. Didn't really look that good on Monday night, and you had to stay up late to watch him just be a disappointment, which is not fun. That was just a slow game too. The Chargers are exciting to watch, but not for their run game either, which is super surprising. Anyway, Kyler Murray, yeah, they did win that game versus Carolina, but it got like way closer than it was supposed to. They were winning by a lot. in the beginning, and then they just like stopped trying after they like had like a 2 touchdown lead. They were like, okay, that's it. Like, we did it. And yeah, I mean the Panthers came charging back and made it interesting, but it should have never gotten to that far in the first place. It should have gotten more out of Kyler there, which is disappointing for the fantasy people hoping something is going to happen with their superstars. But it didn't matter for Sal. He, like I said, was the second place scoring team on the week. Gets another 2-0 there. And another 0-2 for Nate, who moves down to 12th place with that loss here. Just averaging about 92 points at this point, having a really tough time so far this season. Let's look at another tough time here. This was a win for the Apple bottom jeans, but this was also
Wet Noodle Fight of the Week.
neither one of these guys made it to the median. It wasn't the worst score we've seen in the Dimmadome, and they did crack 100, but especially with having 2 more players instead of special teams guys, it seems like breaking 100 isn't really the standard we thought it was anymore. So 125, you definitely got to do better than that, and 132 is a losing week for most other people this week here, but Corey scraping out a win and managing to avoid the 1-4 or 0-4 start by going 1-3 with a wet noodle fight here. He did have Justin Herbert. He had the balls to put Justin Herbert in after one good performance over Jaden Daniels. It didn't end up being the correct choice, but I like the spirit, and he's gonna have to go with Herbert moving forward. Because it looks like Mariota might be starting for Jaden Daniels. Got a little bit of a knee injury in that game, and they might be cautious with that. So expecting to hear more about that as we get into the weekend. But it could be Herbert moving forward for the DeGenes. Achane has been the only good thing going for the Dolphins offense, though I did say Tyreek Hill beat his projections this week. He certainly didn't look happy about it. It's not been a smooth process for the pass attack, but yeah, Achane doing Achane things. Only 30 yards on the ground, but I mean 8 receptions for 92 yards and a touchdown. He's just electric in the passing game. He gets all the dump offs, and he just makes something happen with all of them. Really cool to see there. Justin Jefferson, another disappointing week for him. I mean, I think he did fine week 1, but you're really hoping to see big numbers out of a guy you pick high like Justin Jefferson. And the Vikings offense has just been not really producing anything good, and it looks like they may slow down even further as J.J. McCarthy's going to miss some time, and Carson Wentz is going to come in. It looks like J.J. McCarthy has some ankle injury that he is dealing with, could miss 1 to 4 weeks, they're saying. So we'll see how well Carson Wentz does with the keys here. But if he does anything like Sam Darnold did last year, the smart move is to throw Justin Jefferson the ball. So we'll see what happens with that there. But the 11.1 was enough to get Corey the win this week, like we were saying. T. Higgins was fine. He caught the touchdown even after... he did only have 3 receptions for 56 yards and a touchdown, but even with Joe Burrow missing that game, it's good that you got some good points there. Travis Kelce, 10.1. Man, I mean, even with all the injuries, he's just really not getting a lot of volume. And maybe, I don't know, maybe he's just washed or something. Enough to get Corey the win, but we'll have to keep watching what Travis Kelce does this year. It might be his last go around. DK Metcalf, 11 points. He got a touchdown. It was cool to see. I mean, he really fought for it. Looked like he was fighting for his life out there all the entire time. I mean, the Seahawks have a great defense, and yeah, the Steelers didn't really look that good defensively themselves, and that's what leads to a 17-31 loss for Pittsburgh, and not a lot of action for DK Metcalf, but did muscle his way into a jump ball touchdown. and saved his week there. Rashid Shaheed just still putting up good numbers. I mean, just quietly, the Saints are putting up numbers. They're not winning these games, but they're in them. They're getting passing touchdowns. Kamara's doing Kamara things. I mean, there are a couple situations that are kind of worse right now in the NFL, despite what people believed about the Saints coming into this. I think Rashid Shaheed is underrated and a good weapon for them. And if Olave's getting volume and Rashid Shaheed is opening it up over the top, and Kamara's a safe dump-off option that's also getting more rushing volume than he's seen in his career, it's as long as they can keep it up, it's something to keep an eye on there. DeJean did get the start, got more than projected, but really was only 6.5. But it was better than Xavier McKinney, so he made the good choice there. And Foyesade Oluokun putting up 14 for him with a sack. So did manage to squeak out the win by about 7 points over Eric here. Pat Mahomes was good for him, getting 24 points. But other than that, I mean, Saquon Barkley, 17 points, but a little under projected. Pollard less than projected. I mean, Drake London lost a fumble, only 3 receptions. The Falcons' offense looks slow. That's concerning for people. I mean, yeah, I mean Drake London and AJ Brown, like same levels of panic for some people. And we'll see what ends up happening with that. But Terry, too, a slow start for him. Brock Bowers only getting 8 points, and it looked like he was definitely still nursing a knee injury. He's wearing a knee brace, limping around a little bit after plays. Still involved, still 8 targets, but that offense looks bad, and their offensive line looks bad. People are all excited about the weapons for them, but I don't know, man. They don't really do a whole lot, so what can you do? DJ Moore, I mean, disappointing week for him. Disappointing week for the Bears. They're 0-2. They're panicking. Jacoby Myers, we talked about the Raiders already, and at least he got 20 points at a Bryant Branch on defense, but this is an 0-2 week for the Bower of London, and his 2 namesakes there. Only putting together like 14, 15 points. That's a recipe for a loss for Eric, and lose he did. So taking home the 0-2 on that one. Okay, let's look now from that matchup to the Basketball Americans versus the retarded YNs. Good job, guys. All right, we got Lamar Jackson putting up 34 points for Riley, but 1.3 points for Derrick Henry. Got completely bottled up by Myles Garrett and the Cleveland defense. Even had another fumble, which is unusually, it's uncharacteristic for Derrick Henry there. David Montgomery got 13 points, did get his touchdown. But yeah, like I was saying, A.J. Brown starting to panic a little bit. Only 5 receptions for 27 yards. They won, and he said that's all that matters to him. And, Jerry Jeudy, only 4 receptions there, so he's starting to be concerned with that too. And he's also got David Njoku going on the Browns too, and they just got completely bottled up by the Ravens. So rough stuff, rough going here for Riley. Had a tough week, lost 0-2 and bad here. Starting 3 Browns and having issues with it. So he's made some changes that we'll get to here in a bit, but for now, this was a bad week for him and putting up only 110 points. Dylan did send in his poop hat picture late Monday night. I was starting to get concerned that he had forgotten and he was going to get all of his points wiped away. Dylan, remember to get these in or you will get all your points wiped away. I was nervous about doing it. I'm making it 100% clear you will lose all of your points on the week if I don't see this picture. You made me nervous this week. I don't know if that was your intention, but thank you for sending that picture in. I'm glad you got to keep your win and keep your points. You hung on to him there, and you hung on to the dub. This was a 2-win week for you after a catastrophic week 1. And I think you were the 6th place scorer on the week, so you just barely got your median win there. And Bo Nix bounced back too, which was a big part of that here. I know you're personally a fan of him, and he didn't let you down 2 weeks in a row. Managed to come back here. Same with Jamar Chase. I know you're still shopping around and everything. He got 14 receptions for 165 yards and a touchdown. Some of it was Joe Burrow, some of it was Browning when he came in, Jake Browning. Just kind of hyper-targeting him as well. Seems like he'll still get plenty of volume. So, maybe not too much cause for panic there. At 37.5 points, not much to be sad about on that. Not a lot of action in the rest of it. Adam Thielen was part of it. I think he picked him up this week. But isn't going to be our waiver warrior on this one. We'll talk about that soon. Marvin Mims going in, getting 10.4. That was pretty good as well for a guy that he plugged in. But it was a good performance from his guys. Not great, just middle of the road, but it was enough to get the win here, to beat the median, just barely squeak over it. And like we said, it was a bad week for the Basketball Americans, so it was enough to get him over that hump as well. Hoping to see more out of Travion Henderson. Hoping to see more out of Genty from the last matchup, and hoping to see more out of Hampton in my matchup here, who we'll just talk about next. Me versus the Crimson Chins. Waiting all the way till Monday night to watch Omarion Hampton just be unsuccessful on many short yardage plays where they trusted him with the ball. Watching him lose a fumble, watching him only get 8 carries for 24 yards. It was rough. 3.5 points out of him, and 11.8 points out of Josh Allen. Didn't get any of the touchdowns himself. James Cook got plenty of touchdowns, and they beat the Jets handily. So they pulled Josh Allen early, and I only got 11.8 points out of him for that. So missed the median by I think by like 8 points, something like that, which hurts. I think it was Dylan's with his poop point got to 137, and that was it. So yeah, I missed it by maybe 9 points, and getting half points from your quarterback and no touchdown on many opportunities for Hampton really hurt there on that. Marvin Harrison, a letdown too. George Pickens was good, but these two kind of swapped. Marv was good week 1 and George was bad week 1, and now George is good week 2 and Marv was bad week 2. Keenan Allen, great in both weeks. Glad I fired him up. And Harold Fannin, I picked him up off waivers and flexed him because I put Travis Hunter in my IDP and got a huge week out of Roquan Smith. So, I almost got there despite my many little errors and faults here. But TJ Hawkinson, man, looked cooked in that game. Has been kind of toast. So I think Harold Fannin may be taking his spot in the TE slot moving forward. But yeah, disappointing week for me, and a number 1 week from Lehman here. Had a great week from everyone but Pacheco and Sutton. He just got 31 points out of Odunze. He got 38 points out of Neighbors. I mean, Russ was just chucking the ball downfield a number of times. Wan'Dale Robinson had a pop-off week. Neighbors had a pop-off week. There were just huge touchdowns there. And that's what carried him, man. Jordan Love put up a decent week. Bucky Irving did what he was projected to do. Neighbors and Odunze put up 70 points by themselves. And that's a recipe for a win there. So tough sledding for me. Another 0-2 week, bringing me down to 11th place at 0-4 as well. And putting Lehman and the Crimson Chins at 3-1 in a good spot here and a strong start to the year. Yeah, it was tough for me all the way through, but it is what it is. I started with a few rookies, and Travis Hunter got called on a bogus pass interference call. Should have had at least 3 more points for a pass defense there, because it was a clean play. He got his hand right on the ball and didn't interfere with the guy at all. So that was a bit upsetting, but it was great to see him more involved on defense. I want to see him getting more design looks on offense. Trevor Lawrence, just looking kind of trash, kind of mid, kind of not great, which is sad. I want to see them do better. But they lost that game to the Bengals when Joe Burrow got injured, I think, before halftime. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, Joe Burrow didn't finish that game. And yeah, he only scored 11 points fantasy-wise. They only got one touchdown when he was it. That's bad. I don't know. That's bad. So we got to see better from the Jags. But yeah, that's going to do it for that matchup here. Let's move on now to... We haven't talked about this matchup. This is the Draconic Sorcerers, Ricky versus Alex, the AZ69ers. This was a median win for both of these guys here, but a tough loss for Alex is Ricky put up 151 on his head, and the 140 points that Alex got wasn't going to be enough to do it. Drake May had a bounce-back week, scored 30 points, 2 touchdowns over through the air, and 1 on the ground with 31 yards on 10 carries, which is always great to see out of your quarterback in fantasy. Christian McCaffrey with 13 carries and 7 targets in the offense. It seemed Mac Jones had trouble in the first half, but then figured out how to get the ball to Christian McCaffrey, and that's a winning strategy. It ended up working out for them, and they won. So good job there. Bunch of points from CMC. James Conner, 12.2 points. Trey Benson started to get more involved in the offense, but James Conner is still the guy there. We'll see how long that lasts, but James Conner getting you 12. Brian Thomas looked pretty bad in that Jags game. We talked about how they struggled, but 4 receptions on 12 targets, and some of them he definitely made some business decisions on. We heard after the game that he may have a wrist injury that they weren't reporting, which is kind of a big no-no. So, Liam Cohen, what are you doing? But, yeah, despite that, he still got the win. He got the Devontae Adams touchdown with 106 yards on 6 receptions, which is a big day for him. And here's our guy, 15.9 points here.
Waiver Warrior.
We had our Waiver Warrior, first one of the year, and all it took was us getting to week 2. There's no week 1 waivers that could have happened before the week 1 matchup, so good on my co-host here, getting the Waiver Warrior as soon as humanly possible. Starting 2 Saints and getting the win, getting the 3rd place score on the week. Brave stuff here. Good job from Ricky. Got some good production from Kamara, like I mentioned. And yeah, I got the win, 151.9 points. Alex got a good performance out of Dak with 25 points there. Got 29.5 out of Jonathan Taylor. Even 21.2 out of CeeDee Lamb and 17.4 out of Deebo Samuel, but 5.8 out of Brees, 5.6 out of Sam Laporta, Budda Baker only giving him 6, and Kyron giving him 10. All disappointing performances there. Contributed to his loss. He lost by 11 points here, 10.5. So despite having a number of overperformers, these other guys dragged him down a little bit, and that's it's gonna do it. A weak showing for him in the IDP category. having, a combined 11 points across those two positions compared to Ricky's 16 and a half, which isn't an amazing showing from those guys, but enough to carry you over here. You're looking, I mean, ideally, and we've talked about this before on the pod, from normal position players, but IDP guys included, you want to try to just be averaging like 10 points from your guys, and your studs, you're hoping for 20 from. But the rest of your guys down here, all your flexes and your IDP flexes and your tight end and that type of, like, you really just want it. You're just like, just get me my 10 points and let my stars carry here. Um, and yeah, he didn't get that. He didn't get that out of his IDP slot. And that could be one of the reasons that you don't take home the win here. But still a median win, still goes to 3-1, so not doing too terrible overall in record, but a tough week for him here in the Dome. And yeah, Ricky just taking home the 2-0. He also moves to 3-1, bringing some things closer and making things a little more interesting. All right, we talked about these matchups here at the top. I think we got all the way through these. We started with the Sleepers versus the Tampa Trap House. And yeah, I think that's just going to do it for our score summary. Let's take a look real quick at the points that people did manage to wrangle in. Like we said, Nate had a winning lineup on his bench. Could have got pretty close to the median there. Yeah, like we were talking about, 136 for Dylan, 137 with his poop point ended up being the median. So, a perfect lineup, still didn't quite get him there, but could have definitely been closer into the mix. I mean, Chris had a ton of points in his bench too. I mean, would have been hard to just randomly start Wan'Dale Robinson. But it was an option that he had for sure. I mean, he picked him up this week. That would have been a real waiver warrior. And with Jared Goff on his bench, who scored like 40-something points, already could have scored a ton more points than the 2 or 5 or whatever he got from Fields. But everyone else has been doing pretty efficient work here. Didn't see a 100% on the week, but 97%. That's always a good way to get a win, unless your whole team just stunk like trash, like the Basketball Americans this week. Let's take a look at let's see here. I brought the standings up somewhere. I guess I didn't bring up the standings somewhere. But in any case, they are right here. It's going to be the Retardinals in first, followed by Bill Cosby's Sleepers, our two undefeated teams on the year so far, followed by 3-1 teams. It's the Crimson Chins, the 69ers, and the Sorcerers, bringing us up to 5th place. In 6th, we have the Basketball Americans and Dylan in 7th with the Retarded YNs, both at 2-2. The teams, the middlemen, the middle management teams that tied last week, both lost this week, so they're effectively 1-3. The same with the Apple Bottom DeJeans, took home the median win. But or no, not this week. I don't remember exactly how it happened, but they're 1-3 as well. And then bringing up the rear, it's the Ball Hogs and the Team Joe Biden, me and Nate. I have let up the most amount of points so far this year with 303 points allowed, which is pretty tough. And that's leading to some rough losses, but haven't got a median win yet either, so can't complain too much about matchups. But I would like an easy matchup every once in a while. That would be nice. All right, that's going to do it for the score summary here. Let's get into the waiver wire and trades so we can figure out what's changed for these teams moving into week 3 and how that's going to affect our matchups and our lives moving forward. let's get to the waiver wire.
Waiver wire and trades.
Okay, we had a big week of waiver claims. A ton of guys going through here, some contested guys as well. You can see the amount of guys that had multiple claims in for them. We'll go through them and I'll let you know exactly who was trying to get their greasy little hands on each one of these guys. I can tell you it was me who didn't get some of these guys on a lot of these guys. So, let's start with the top because there's no better place to start. Romeo Doubs going to Tyke here. Eric and the Bowers of London picking up Romeo Doubs after the Jaden Reed injury this week, leaving open a spot for someone to grab some extra attention in that offense. He thinks it might be Romeo. I also thought that and put a claim in for him, and Riley also looked for some of that action as well, but didn't manage to get him. Zach Ertz going over to Nate and Team Joe Biden here. He dropped Mark Andrews for him, which was a bold choice after a slow week for him there. But in any case, there was multiple people going for Ertz. The tight ends are a hot commodity right now. Sal wanted him, and Ricky wanted him as well, but Nate did end up getting Zach Ertz. There was 2 claims in for Blake Corum, but Chris took him home. Lehman was the other guy that wanted him here, but Chris got Blake Corum, who got a touchdown this week, and is maybe starting to see his role being expanded as someone to spell Kyron and get some of the, off roll running here. So we'll see if Blake Corum continues to develop. Henley, the linebacker, number 0 for the Chargers, going over to Sal. I wanted this guy too. I think he's turning into a superstar. Diane Henley. He's like in all their commercials and stuff now too. He was sick before the game and he still came out and got an interception first play of the game. He was everywhere, flying around. Didn't look like he could be stopped. And that was coming in off the flu. We'll see what happens when he's fully healthy there. Troy Franklin going over to Ricky after a promising week where he led the Broncos in targets. This is Bo Nix's former college teammate. Potentially the start of a breakout here. Sal wanted him too, but Ricky takes him home on this one. We got Lehman getting Woody Marks. I wanted to try to get my hands on Woody Marks as well, but wasn't able to do so. Lehman with the claim on him. I got an uncontested Rashad White here. I dropped Jonnu Smith to grab him. That seemed like an option. He got a touchdown this week and looked like he was in definitely more, had a higher snap share than he did in week 1. He had that groin injury in the offseason leading into the season and barely got cleared to play week 1, so could be possible he was still recovering there. I'm hoping to see that maybe he gets some more usage. Could be another good option for me there. There was a few more claims. We had Curtis Granderson going to Nate. He's had 2 electric weeks. He scored like 20 and 25 points in the IDP spot. So Nate looking to replicate some of that for himself there. And then Paulson Adebo making his way over to Ricky's team in place of Caden Ellis. We had a couple other free agency moves here, a couple guys being added and dropped, but nothing from the waiver wire waiver run that was, the most important stuff. We've talked about it. We don't get to those guys, any of these little stragglers that come in. If they end up being important, we'll talk about them during the matchups. But we got one more thing to go over here in this segment. This is the waiver wire and trades segment, and there was a trade, and it is a doozy. It's A.J. Brown and Jerry Jeudy for Javonte Williams. going from Riley to Alex here. AJ Brown and Jerry Jeudy going from Riley to Alex, and Riley getting Javonte Williams in return. My co-host was arguing in the chat that AJ Brown probably could have got this done alone here, and Jerry Jeudy getting thrown in seems like a little bit extra, but that was the choice that you made. Javonte's been off to a hot start. I mean, he's a top 5 running back on the season so far, so if everything keeps going exactly the same way it's been going, then this is a good trade. But Alex doesn't feel like that's going to be the case. Obviously, that's why he made the trade, and the rest of us are just going to have to find out. Riley was already extremely thin at wide receiver and traded 2 wide receivers away for a running back, so it will be interesting to see what his team looks like this week. And this is the type of trade that could go down as one of the worst of the season or one of the best. But it's definitely gonna change some things for both these teams. So we'll see how that affects them moving forward. But no other trades this week. A couple guys showed up on the trading block. I think some deals are still being talked about behind closed doors, or maybe not, but I know a lot of guys definitely being shopped at the moment, so we'll see if anything comes up between now and next week. All right, let's go on to our projection preview and talk about what's happening in week 3 of the Dimmadome.
Projection preview.
All right. Let's take a look here. I got a matchup against Team Joe Biden where it looks like he's done starting duds and benching stars here. In fact, he's taken all the guys that scored big last week and put them in. Stevenson coming back onto the lineup here. Welcome back to a flex slot. Alec Ayomanor is no longer going to be sitting on the bench. He's looking like a favorite target of Cam Ward, and that can't be ignored in a PPR league. Here he is. He's going to be in this week as well. Kyle Pitts still staying in as his tight end, but Mike Evans, Tyreek Hill, Chase Brown, and Jahmyr Gibbs with Jalen Hurts at the top. I mean, this is a scary lineup to look at. It's, he's only been averaging 92, 93 points a week, but he's projected to score 143. You can only hope he would score 50 points under projection 3 weeks in a row, if you're me here. But I'm also hoping I'm gonna go above this 129 projection that I have. I hope that this is the week that Travis Hunter finally gets a touchdown. Josh Allen, I hope, plays the full game tonight against Miami. Please play the full game, or at least get some touchdowns for yourself. I need points from you, buddy. Harold Fannin is my tight end now. I believe in him fully, and Hawkinson has been a rough start, so I'm making the transition. I tried doing both at once last week, and I should have just stuck with Harold. So he's going in. I'm moving Travis Hunter out of my IDP and into a flex spot because I'm hoping that Van Ginkel is going to be coming back. But if he doesn't play again this week, then I'm looking at moving Travis down to start either Harvey or Rashad White or even Harold Landry being put in an IDP spot if I keep him there. So I got plenty of options. That's what Travis Hunter allows me to do, but it also makes me scratch my head quite a bit leading into the week and leading into the games. So we'll see what ends up being locked in here. This is kind of nebulous right now, but either way, I'm hoping I get higher than 129 points projected. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to say the least, but we're going to be waiting till Monday night to see Gibbs. We got Josh Allen and Tyreek Hill going today at least, so going to get a lot of information at the start here. But yeah, we got a couple Monday night options for Nate here, so it's gonna be a while. We're gonna have to wait and go all the way down to the wire as usual to see how this one concludes. It's Baltimore too, so the Lions versus the Ravens. That should be an interesting matchup to watch at the end of the week anyway. All right, let's move on from that matchup here and go to Dylan versus Alex. Let's see here. Alex is the huge projected favorite in this one. Let's scroll through quickly and see if there's any reason why, any obvious misses or anything like that. Doesn't look like it. I mean, he's not projected to get a ton from Hunter Renfrow, but I expect, respect the balls to put Hunter in off of a free agency pickup. He dropped Adam Thielen to pick up Hunter Renfrow. I called him literally the Panthers in the chat because that's what they did in real life as well, which is pretty funny. I guess they traded Thielen away, but no one's trading for Thielen in fantasy. I digress. Let's move on to what we're talking about with this lineup. He's got Xavier Worthy in here, who's projected 13 points right now. They're talking about him coming back. It was only a dislocated shoulder, but if there was any sort of ligament damage whatsoever, this is a quick return for him. So I don't know if that's going to be something that stays there or if he's going to end up having to pivot, but he's got Quinshon Judkins on the bench, who's projected to get a good amount of points. So that could be an option for him as well. But either way, I mean, not coming close to what Alex has projected. CeeDee Lamb projected for 20. Yeah, I mean, he's got A.J. Brown now on his team, is projected for 13. Breece Hall going, Sam Laporta going. Yeah, just a lot of great options for Alex now. Seems he's just gotten incredibly deep all at once and is a real powerhouse here to keep an eye out on. He even got the Quentin Johnston waiver lottery there. He won that. And yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one to say the least. He doesn't have anyone going from today's game, but he does have Sam Laporta going Monday night as well as Zay Flowers. And then Anzalone is also going in that game too. So these guys are also going to be waiting until Monday night to get some conclusion on this. They're really going to have it rolling in all day throughout Sunday, especially because they don't have any action in tonight's game here. But it should be a good one. Alex, again, projected to win handily, projected to beat the median handily. We'll see if that ends up coming true for him or if the projections are liars as usual. Jamar Chase could have a big week, even with the backup quarterback, and boost Dylan ahead in this one. We'll see what happens. Let's look at the Sorcerers versus the Bowers of London. Ricky said he is primed and ready to collapse the Bowers of London here. He said that his Monday night nail in the coffin is going to be Jameson Williams. We'll see if the Sorcerers can back up all the words that their manager is spouting on this one here. They're not projected to win, but we talked about some of the things to be concerned about. That knee injury for Bowers, or Drake London seeing very low targets so far this season. Terry McLaurin with the slow start. DJ Moore with the slow start in an 0-2 team. It's been tough. It's been tough for the Bowers of London, for Eric's team. He's getting good stuff out of Patrick Mahomes. But, Pollard has been hard to rely on. Could put Chubb in. Could try that out. Could put Dobbs in after you just picked him up off waivers over maybe someone like Myers or even more? Options, but tough decisions. You're projected to win now, so why mess with it too much, I guess. See what he ends up locking in as we get later into the week, but he doesn't have anything going tonight, so he's probably not super stressed about it yet. Once we hit the weekend, we might see some movement from him there. But in any case, Ricky is sticking with his guns as well. Drake May, CMC, Alvin Kamara, those have been staples for him. Brian Thomas staying in despite the struggles so far. I'm not saying he should take him out, but it's been tough. James Conner staying in. Yeah, Jameson Williams staying in as well. He talked about possibly wanting to go 4 running back and putting in the situation Jordan Mason, but decided against it and going with JMO. So we'll see if that costs him or if that ends up sealing him a win here. In either case, it's projected to be close. Ricky always says, go Sorcerers, but I just want to see it be a good match in any case here. It'd be cool if you guys got another tie. Go ahead and do that here. Or not. Do whatever you want. Let's look at the Crimson Chins versus Bill Cosby Sleepers. We've got Jared Goff going in this one. Like we said, Justin Fields has the concussion anyway, so even if he wasn't convinced by the 40-point performance or almost 50-point performance from Goff, getting him in primetime Monday night versus the Ravens should be an interesting game. I'm excited to see that one. And that is going to be his starting quarterback there. He stacked it up with Amon-Ra St. Brown, which is always going to be good for him. If you had them both going this week, that would have been like 90 points alone from those guys. So they're capable of blowing a game wide open there. We will see if they end up doing that to the Ravens versus the Bears. That's a little bit of a difference in competition, but even if you get half that from those guys, I'm sure you'd be happy there. ETN going, Swift going, that's been his running back core that is now just being consistent for him here. He's got Garrett Wilson, Micah Parsons, J.K. Dobbins. Olave, I think, is on his team and getting the sit. Yeah, he is sitting down here. Nick Cross sitting as well, Stephon Diggs. But Nick Bosa, Micah Parsons, both great options there. And even though he's projected to lose, it's only by 1 point. So should be another close one here. The Chins going with Jordan Love, keeping Bucky Irving, of course. Pacheco making another start. I would look for any other option if I was him, but all he's got is Najee Harris, Caleb Johnson, Woody Marks. Ugh. All rough stuff, all inconsistent, all question marks. Might as well stick with Pacheco, I guess. Neighbors, Egbuka, Trey McBride, all superstars. See if those guys can do what they are projected to. Roma Dunze has been great for him as well so far. One of the top receivers on the year. Sutton getting flexed, and then he's taking a stand against the IDPs. He just keeps saying IDPs suck now. Everything else is flipping me off specifically. But besides that, now he names his IDPs. IDPs suck in all caps. So I don't know what you want, Lehman. Just pick better. Just do better. You're 3-1, so you're fine. Like, shut your mouth, man. No complaining, man. We don't want to see it. Projected to win by 1. Again, a close one here. Off the top of my head, I do. Dalton Kincaid versus Trey McBride. That's a scary heads-up matchup. Nico Collins too. I mean, he has been so disappointing so far. Tampa Bay is. I hate to see it. I'm gonna give it to Lehman on this one. I think he knocks off the unbeaten Cosbys. That's my prediction here. So yeah, book it. That's what's happening on that one. I haven't given my own personal spin on any of the other ones so far. I don't know why I felt the need to do it there, but Chins win that one. Chins by 1 million. Let's go. All right, Basketball Americans versus the Tampa Trap House here. We've got the Raven stack going for the Basketball Americans. They're waiting till Monday to see that really shake out. But Chris is going to jump out to an early lead because he's got James Cook going tonight. Keon Coleman is getting started as well tonight for Riley, so that's a cool little heads-up matchup there. But James Cook is projected so far to perform better, and he's also got Khalil Shakir going. Man, a ton of action tonight for these two guys. Any others? Any Dolphins? No. Just those three, the two main pass catchers and the running back for the Bills. I got Josh Allen going, and these guys got the whole offense, so we'll all be heavily invested in this one. Riley did trade away everything that he ever hoped and dreamed of to get Javonte Williams, so he's getting the start here against the Bears, who have been terrible, and that should be a good smash start there. Still getting two Browns fired up, not three Browns and an A.J. Brown anymore, but two Browns nonetheless, Cedric Tillman and Njoku. Two Browns are also starting tight ends this year in the Dimmadome so far, at least in week 3. It's Harold Fannin and Njoku. We'll see which one of our guys does better in that position as well. Montgomery going on Monday. Geez, Riley's going to be waiting until Monday night for most of his guys here. He's got Godwin fired up. Maybe that's why his projection is so low. We're hearing reports about Godwin possibly starting this week. Limited week 3 preparations begin. They're saying he's not supposed to start until week 4. So, I mean, gosh, he might be slamming Sterling Shepard or Captain Kirk. He's hoping he comes back. These are all options for him here, so we'll see what happens there. It's a flex spot, so he could really put in whoever he wants. He's at least got the 2 wide receivers in and can piece together anything else there. But the Tampa Trap House, as of right now, projected to win with Caleb Williams coming in at quarterback. It's been somewhat disappointing for Ladd McConkey so far, but Tucker Kraft is picking up a lot of slack for Chris here. He's looked like a top tight end. Should be an interesting matchup for sure. Definitely going to be waiting till Monday night regardless for both of these guys here. But should get a lot of information tonight as well. So a really spread out matchup for these guys, and they're both still hungry for wins. Not that everyone doesn't want to win all the time, but Riley had a pretty crap week last week, and so did Chris. So these guys are both looking to bounce back off of 0-2 weeks and get a dub here. Okay, our last matchup, our highest scorer so far on the season, the Retardinals versus the Apple Bottom DeJeans at 1-3. And it's looking so far to be in the newcomers' favor here, projected by 10 points to be out in front. Jefferson's projections are hurting, even though they're playing against the Bengals. The backup quarterback situation is spooky. He's still starting DeJean, which I don't blame him for, but it's a projection thing here where he's getting only 6 points projected. Which is pretty rough for the little bar action here, especially when you're getting 9.5, 10 points projected from these two set and forget guys that Sal has got in here. Rashid Shaheed going against a tough defense in Seattle, man. That is going to be rough. Metcalf playing versus the Patriots. We'll see how Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers do against New England. And they don't have anything going tonight besides Achane here. So Corey is going to be looking out for another PPR performance out of Achane against Buffalo. The Ravens ran all over them, but the Jets could not. That's a very wide spread between competition levels, but we're going to, kind of find out where the Dolphins fall in that spectrum here tonight. as they try to get a run game going against them as well here. Scatabo getting put in. Love to see it. Jaden Daniels questionable, but still sitting on the bench. He doesn't really have too many other options to put in at like running back or anything here, but Scatabo has been reliable, so cool to see there. Reliable for his 8 to 10 points at least, but an option to put in, and it's always fun to root for him, so cool to see him in there. Sal is just looking for more of the same. It's okay if Captain Dumbfuck and Slam Pig just do terrible for him, as long as Chuba Hubbard and Puka Nakua, Jackson Smith and Jigba and Tyler Warren, Ted McMillan just continue to score 15 to 20 to 30 points for him. Blicky Pearsall, Ricky getting fired up here, even though he got shot last year. He's got a shot this year at being a wide receiver 1, so we'll see if him and Fred Warner can combine for some 49ers gold for Sal, or if that ends up not panning out. I don't know why I'm making prospector jokes. I'm just ending this one with a bang here. He fired up Henley. He picked him up off the waivers, but he, like I said, has been a superstar so far. So good to see him getting charged up and put in the lineup here. And that is going to be it for Sal's team. It's a close matchup, I think, is coming despite the 10-point difference here in projections. Cooper DeJean, maybe he brings down a tipped ball versus the Rams. The Eagles defense has just been electric, and I think that Aluakun is just going to tear through Houston's terrible offensive line. So could be some surprise points coming from the IDP positions for Corey here. I'm not sure that it's going to be enough to hand Sal his first loss, unless some bad things happen for him this week. So he's going to cross his fingers and knock on wood there. Bill not getting the start on the bench there. But he's happy with what's been happening so far. I don't blame him. I'd be happy too if I was the number 1 scorer and undefeated in the league so far. So he's going to look to continue that trend as he moves through week 3. That is going to do it for those matchups. That's going to do it for all my screenshots and analysis and everything for week 2 of the Dimmadome as we look forward into week 3 here. So I know my co-host at this point, I'd normally flip it to him and ask him if he has anything to say before I end the episode. He'd say, yeah, go Sorcerers. And I'd be like, all right, go Sorcerers. So I'll do it for him here. He can rest assured that he's still being cheered on in the pod when he listens. Ricky, I hope you're proud of me for doing it anyway here. But for the rest of you, thanks so much for listening again to another episode of the DFL Breakdown. I hope you enjoy the AFC East divisional matchup tonight with the Dolphins and the Bills. Let's get it. Week 3 DFL football. Later.
Thank you for listening to the DFL Breakdown. Tune in next week for more.